Well, hello friends and neighbors. It's another nice Saturday. Welcome to my deck. I'm John, a whiskey neighbor, and today I'm going to talk about some local distilleries. This is part of a YouTube challenge that I believe was started by Andrew, Prestige Liquids, and then I think one of the people he challenged was Antonio, Whiskey Quest, and Antonio challenged me. So this, I believe, was a desire to say, hey, you know what, there's some good local things going on. With all the challenges with a COVID pandemic, a lot of local small distilleries might be struggling to make ends meet. So let's talk about some good local liquids. So I'm going to talk about 3 Canadians, some close to home, well, 2 in Alberta, and 1 actually quite far away, still in Canada, from Newfoundland. We'll see you after the break. Thanks for staying with me. Each of these really deserves their own review, but I thought it's a really nice challenge. So I'll try to do justice to these 3 liquids. The first I'm going to talk about is from Righand Distillery. They're in Nisku, just south of Edmonton. And this is their Rocking R 100% rye whiskey. Bottled at 40%. This is batch number 4. And this is some pretty interesting stuff. They're very proud of their local ingredients and their local connections. So they talk about, this comes from the Knoll family farm. That's all the rye comes from there. And that it's a 5th generational farm. So that's pretty awesome. This is 100% unmalted rye. Now they've said they've got some unique floor malted rye still in cask. So I'm looking forward to that. This one here, as I said, 40%, but all rye, goes through a pretty unique casking scenario. It's young, it's only 3 years. In that 3 years, though, it spent time in ex-wheat whiskey casks, a small cask, very tight, a less gallon count of an ex-bourbon, then a larger ex-bourbon, and then kind of a smaller ex-sherry with French oak. So, kind of unique series of casks behind us. See what we get. It's a nice lively nose. It's very fresh in my mind. A little bit lemony, a little bit spicy. Just a hint of sourness, a hint of mint. Let's see what it tastes like. Cheers. It's actually quite fresh. It's got some nice peppers that come up pretty quick. The fruits are gentle, they're light, they're yellow fruits, not reds, in my palate. Nice and clean in the early finish, kind of drying. Better take another quick sip. There we got a little more of that young nature in rye. It's sprightly, a little bit herbal. Quite a bit of herb. Not herb, sorry, a little. When I say herbal, there's a sort of a breadth in rye, a section on the flavor wheel in rye that could be, some people will say grass, mint, eucalyptus, herb. It's within that range, and it really depends on everyone's individual palate. But there's certainly a note of that. Certainly in the second sip I got that. Pepper is still closer to black pepper, not, well, yeah, there's a little sweetness, a little sweet cinnamons in there too. I had their Bar M. I was at the release party. It was a fantastic party, but it really was way overpriced for what it delivered. This Rockin' Rye is pretty good, and I think they'll ship it to you for free for $69 a bottle. Now that's a lot of money for a 3-year-old rye, but we're talking about supporting local, and I like this rye worlds more than that Bar M whiskey. This is ready to drink. I can enjoy it. It's a little young, it's a little grassy. But I can handle that in rye. Okay, so the second one is a Highwood distillery. Am I shifting these over? As long as I don't mix up my glasses. So the second one here is Highwood. So Highwood is south of Calgary. And it, where are they? High River? Probably. I can't remember now. But this is a unique bottle. This one here, it's called Century Reserve Rare Cask Series, and it's aged in beer barrels. Released at 42%, batch number 1. So this is a unique kind of story. Like, they are very good at wheat whiskey, and they had a lot of excellent stocks of old corn whiskey. But I talked to the distillery directly about, it's like, what's going on in here? And they said, you know what, John, this is our wheat whiskey. Which I can respect that they didn't say Canadian rye in here, they just said Canadian whiskey. So please, hats off to that, because I know Highwood has struggled with releasing what we can say is rye, even though it's not. And here they've just said, look, this is a great Canadian whiskey. And this is a pretty cool local team up. I'm going to talk about that in a second. And they just labeled it premium Canadian whiskey, and I respect that. Okay, so what's the local mashup? So what they did is they took their regular wheat whiskey, aged it for somewhere around 4 or 5 years, somewhere in there, and then emptied the barrels and shipped the barrels to Wild Rose. Wild Rose is a craft beer distillery, I think in Calgary. And then Wild Rose aged some of their stout beer for about 8 months in the ex-whiskey casks. Released that as a product called Whiskey Tenor, and I can't find it. I really want some of that beer. But anyways, then they shipped it back, and Highwood took their wheat whiskey and they put it back into the now beer-aged casks for another year, I think another whole year. So this is at least 5 years old. Not that it's about age, but it's good to know. And then they released it. So let's see what we get out of this beer barrel series. I'm not sure, rare cask series. You know, if I didn't know it was wheat, I would say this was corn. The nose is sweet, soft. I guess the soft could be the wheat, but very enveloping, very easy to get into. Yeah, gentle, kind of a grain character, so like a malty oats kind of character. Yeah, soft, interesting. See what it tastes like. Cheers. You know, that's a tasty product too. This one is, I think, far more vanillas, caramels, less spicing for sure. Coat's okay in the mouth. There's a little bit of wood spice in the finish. I like the flavors up front. It reminds me a little bit of their 20-year-old corn product. So it's not always about, you know, the grain. It's about how they distill it and the cuts they take and that aging process. You know, the stout beer is having, for me, a softening or a malting, it's fairly creamy. I think that might be what I'm thinking. The beer really influenced the lengthening that part of the palate that feels a bit creamy in the mouth. For some reason, there's a little bit of bitterness in here for me. I want to just do nothing but praise this product, but there is a bitterness in here that gets to me, and it might only be my palate. Super thankful they made this. Great mashup for local distilleries. Really applaud Highwood for saying it's Canadian whiskey. And I was able to get it at Wine and Beyond for also a very good price. I just was there today. They don't have any more on the shelf. So this might end up being something pretty hard to find, which disappoints me, because even though I'm telling you there's a little something in that keeps me from just loving it, I would have loved to have a bottle of this because its uniqueness just put away, and I don't. That's the only one I have. All right, so the third product then, let's go out of Alberta. Right, these first two were Alberta products. This last one is from Newfoundland. It's called Signal Hill. It's actually, I don't know what they're going to tell me about it. It's actually sourced. So the distillery that bottled this did not distill it. So I don't actually know who put it away. I believe this is 95% corn, 5% malted barley. And one of the things that's pretty unique about it is that it is only 40%, but somehow it's non-chill filtered. I assume both of these are chill filtered. And I find that very interesting just because, chill filtering, it takes out some of those waxy solids that if you chill your whiskey will come out of solution. And so that way you can chill your whiskey, throw an ice cube, and it still stays that clear if it's been chill filtered. If you don't chill filter, you need to have strong enough alcohol to keep those waxy solids like in solution. And so usually you'll see non-chill filters, well, I've seen 43, but usually 46% is kind of where people, okay, we can release this now without chill filtration. This is somehow 40% and non-chill filtered. Interesting. Let's see what we get out of this Newfoundland released whiskey. This is much sweeter than the other two in the nose. This is candy, high sweetness, cooked brown sugars, maple sugar, maple syrup. Definitely, if I compare, this is now a little bit soapy, but lemon, sprightly, a little soapy. And this now, I got a little more deep malt to it. Interesting. Coming back to Signal Hill, sweet cooked brown sugar tarts. All right, let's see how it tastes. Cheers. Very gentle in the palate. The most gentle across these three. Coating, gentle, a little bit of that, I can't get out of my head now. I mentioned sugar tarts or brown sugar tarts or something like butter tarts. And I'm going to keep tasting that because there's quite a bit of sweet cooked sugar in here and caramel. It's gentled with what would be a crust in a tart or something like that, right? So it's got a little bit of grain malt. In terms of Canadian whiskey profiles, this is going to meet, if you have had Canadian whiskey before and you like that sweet Canadian liquid, this could be interesting. It's very well put together, very gentle. It's not my favorite style of whiskey. I end up feeling like this is just too maple syrup sweet. However, coating, smooth, very easy drinking. The Rock and Rye, yeah, it's got that young grass, little soapy note. So much spicier than this now. It's got not heat in the chest, but spice in the palate. Really should. Last thoughts on the beer barrel. Malt. Not sure what the prominent note of that is. It's almost a mix. It's got some spicing in it, some smoothing character. It's got a strong grain malt note to it for me. Yeah, and it's got a little bit more bite that comes in the early finish. Look, you guys, thanks so much for joining me here on the deck. It's about to pour. I can just tell it's why I might be rushing a little bit. We're going to have some serious rain for a few hours here in Alberta, or possibly even, I should say, a couple of days. Thank you for the challenge, Antonio and Andrew, for starting this. I need to challenge a couple other people, and I usually text ahead and say, hey guys, you take this on, and I didn't. So hey, if you guys can't pick up the challenge, I completely understand. There's lots of challenges going on, but I thought I'd challenge a couple of Canadians. So I'm thinking of Trenny and C out on the island in BC. Lots of local BC distilleries to highlight there. And I thought, maybe the Whiskey Whistle, right? How about that? I know you're in Manitoba, but there's some good liquid going on in the prairies. Could think of some local distilleries there. Oh, right. I need a third. Hey, you know what? I'm going to go far North Europe and go Sauleg. Renee, I don't know, but I know you guys, you shared some local rye with me. So if you could think of some local distilleries, you're in Denmark, are you not? Shoot. Sorry if I got that wrong, sir. But Renee, Sauleg, if you could pick this up too, I'd love to hear what you guys are saying. So Thank you for joining me. Thank you for the challenge. And I love the idea of looking to your local businesses now as they reopen in some capacity to see if we can't support them. Thanks for joining me. Till next time, guys.